Hello, everyone, and welcome to today's webinar. We appreciate having so many of you here joining us to learn about the latest updates to the all-hour system, which only goes to show your commitment to making the most of our tools, and we're always happy to see that. My name is Dragana. I'm part of the sales team here at Spiza, and I will be leading this webinar titled Restricting Worktime Clocking to Selected Users. Today, we will be covering new features aimed at making all hours more adaptable to your needs. It is my pleasure to guide you through the improvements we've implemented based on your feedback as a part of our ongoing efforts to enhance our users' experience. A quick note before we begin, please feel free to share any comments or questions you might have in the chat box as we go along. Only our team will be able to see those questions, so feel free to ask anything. We'll have a Q&A session at the end and address those questions. Before we start, one last thing to note is that this webinar is being recorded, so you will be able to access the recording afterwards if you'd like to review any part of it. We'll post it online. We will also send it in the follow-up email directly to you, so you have it for easy access. And feel free to just focus on the session without needing to take any notes. Thank you once again for joining us, and let's dive in. Our agenda for today is we will be starting with a brief introduction to all hours. I know many of you joining us are already our existing customers, but we also have some new potential users here. So we will start with a quick overview of the basics, what all hours is, what it does, how it works, and the main benefits it provides. After that, we will dive into the new features. I will explain what they are with examples of their use, and I will also demonstrate how each of these features can be set up in the system so you can understand the benefits they offer and how to implement them for your own company. More specifically, we'll cover how to restrict access to different event types, such as time registrations, absences, and corrections. We will take a look at how to set up a substitute approver while absent. I will show you the updates to options of leave calculations. And lastly, I will show you the improvements in the user experience on the timelines view. As the third part, we will have the Q&A session to go over all the questions you have posted. And if we won't be able to get to all of them, we will follow up by email after the webinar to make sure all of the questions are addressed. So to get everyone up to speed to the basics of all hours, let's start with a brief introduction to the system. All Hours is a cloud-based solution that enables easy and efficient management of employee attendance. With this system, you can quickly track check-ins and check-outs, different types of absences, and generate automated reports for payroll. This means all of the data is safely stored in one place, it is easily accessible to users, and always up to date. Automatic calculations in the reports leave no room for errors, which ensures correct payroll calculations and, of course, saves us a lot of time. The system is very user-friendly and straightforward, as many of you already know. Time tracking can be done in various ways through a mobile app, a web app, or a time clock, with flexible combinations of these methods available. The flexibility of all hours means it can easily adapt to different company needs and processes, regardless of the size of the company or the industry you're working in. Of course, as with any tool, there's always room for improvement, and we're very well aware of that. That's why we place a strong emphasis on listening to our customers' feedback. Every piece of input we receive is valuable, as it offers a deeper understanding of our users' ever-evolving needs and helps us create a clear focus and a clear direction for enhancing the system, whether it is by adding new features, enhancing usability, or making specific adjustments that align with your workflows. This collaborative approach allows All Hours to continuously evolve into a tool that's not only effective, but also truly aligned with the ways our customers work. So thank you very much for your feedback. Now, let's take a look at the features we have added to the system. I've moved now to All Hours, which I believe many of you are already familiar with. But before I start with the first feature we will take a look at, as you can see at the top, I have different tabs open, right? So I created an account just for the purpose of this webinar, and I have added some users to the system. This one that we're currently looking at is the admin, right? Her name is Amy. At the next step, we will have a person with the manager role, so a Michael. And at the third and fourth tab, we have our employees, so Emily and James. It's just for you to better understand what these changes mean for each of the roles in the system. Okay, so the first feature we are going to take a look at is how to restrict access to various types of time registrations and absences. So when we're talking about different events, if I go here under settings and event definitions, when I say events, what I mean is different clockings, different absences, and different adjustments, right? These are all that are already created in the system by default. And what they mean, so the list that is shown here, if I return back to the home page, right, this is where we can find the list of those clockings, right? So this drop-down list of clockings. Here is the drop-down list of absences, right? This one, and the adjustments are here under timelines, also clockings and absences. So the list we are taking a look at here in the settings is the one I just showed you. Yeah, so the new thing we have added here, as you can see, is this column, access level, which allows us to limit different types of events to specific users. Now, why we have added this feature? For example, let's imagine a company that has a division working in Germany, so German employees, and another division with employees working in Slovenia, for example. Now, as you can see, these absences that are already added by default, if we change the language settings, they will be translated as well. However, if we, for example, add a new type of absence, right, which you can always do, and give it a German name, if we switch to Slovenian, this absence will still be available for the Slovenian users and might cause some confusion. So to get rid of that, we have now added this access level, and you can limit, for example, just for the German employees to be able to see that German absence, and for Slovenian users to won't be able to see that in the drop-down list of the absences they can request. Now, for our use case, I have chosen that we will be managing the study leave absence, right? So this one right here that is already in the system, and we will limit its restriction. Let's imagine we want to leave this restriction only for our admin to be able to add it and for our employee, Emily. Now, as you can see, if I click here on this absence, and if I take a look at here, access level, I can select who can use this event. So everyone leaves this event to be able to be clocked by everyone. And then I can choose how to limit this event by two different options, right? The first one is that only users with administration privileges will be able to add this event. Now, what this means, for example, here, because I am the admin, Amy, I will be the only one that will have study leave available in my drop-down list. However, I can still add it for any of the employees in the system because I have access to their information. But the other users, they won't be able to see study leave in their drop-down list while they go to request an absence, for example. The other option is to allow only the users with the assigned tag to access this absence. Now, this, for example, will be used in our case because we want our employee, Emily, to still be able to add this absence, as well as our admin to be able to add this absence. Of course, we have to create first the tag so we can select it from this list. How we do this? We go under the users here, we click on tags, and we create a new tag. Here at the top right corner, I click on add tag, I give it a name, select a color. Now, when giving it a name, I suggest we choose something that is meaningful to us, so we will know what this tag is used for. For example, here we will be limiting study leave, so I just suggest we use the substitute of viewer, but the study leave, this one. Yeah, we choose the color and we just save it. Now the tag, as you see here, is created. We now need to add this tag to users. So if I switch back to our users tab, this is the list of all of the users that are in the system. And we said we want for our admin Amy to be able to add this type of absence, so the study leave, and our employee Emily. So we can do this in bulk, of course. As you can see, you just choose which users you want to add this tag to, click on actions, manage tags, and then select the tag we want to add, in our case, study leave, assign, and confirm. As you can see now here in this column of tags, the admin and the employee Emily, Amy and Emily, have this tag now available. So we have created a tag, we have assigned it to users. Now is the time to limit that absence to users with the tag. We go back under settings and event definitions. Under absences, we find the study leave we want to limit, right? Click on it and select users with assigned tag. Select the tag study leave we have created and assigned to the users we want to limit this absence to, and save. Now you can see that only users with assigned tag can access study leave. Now, what this means, if I go back to absences and click add absence, here I'm the Amy admin in the Amy admin profile, and I can see that I still have this study leave available. If I switch, for example, now to the user Michael manager, right? We have limited this user from adding that type of absence. He won't be able to access study leave anymore in the drop-down list of absences. However, our Emily employee, we have given her permission to still access that type of absence, right? So she will be able to still choose study leave from the drop-down list of her absences. Okay, so this is the first feature we have covered. If you have any questions, of course, feel free to post them in the chat box. The next feature we will take a look at is how to designate a substitute approver while we are on leave. Now, as you know, in the system, approvements of different requests, for example, forgotten clockings or absences, are done by admins and maybe in some cases also managers. Now, if we take a look at the Emily, right, the employee Emily, and show her approvers, we can see that currently the only person approving her requests is Amy the admin, right? Now, what this means, if, for example, Amy the admin goes on a prolonged period of sick leave or vacation leave, or whatever it might be, while Amy is away, no one will be able to confirm any requests for absence or forgotten clockings that Emily, our employee, will submit. Now, to bypass this, let's say, we have now added this option to add a substitute approver. So how this is done, if I go under my profile here as the Amy admin, I can now access this request management during absence. If I click on it, I can select a coworker who will be managing the requests while I'm away. I select the coworker, and from the drop-down list, as you can see, I see only those users that have the rights to approve. So, for example, I choose the manager, Michael, and I appoint him as my substitute approver. Now, he was appointed as my substitute approver. What this means is, if we take a look back at our Emily, the employee, right? Now, when I click on show my approvers, we can see that Amy is shown here, as well as Michael, the manager, because me as the Amy admin have added him as my substitute approver. What this means, for example, if our Emily employee goes to add an absence, let's say annual leave for the days of, I don't know, 19th and 20th, you can see now her request is pending for approval. And since Amy, the admin, is the approver, she gets a notification here that she has something to approve, as well as our Michael, the manager. He will also get this notification because he's set up as the substitute approver. Now, one more thing to note here is if I just take a look quickly at timelines. Currently, I'm the Amy admin, and for today, I have entered a sick leave. This means I'm absent for today. If the system has the information that I am absent, this is when this substitute approver gets triggered, right? So only in case when all hours know that someone is away while because of sick leave or annual leave or any other reason, this is when the substitute approver works. If I wouldn't have any information here in the system that I'm absent, Michael wouldn't be notified for that request, right? But in this case, because I have an absence, Michael as well gets notified via email, and this notification shows up here. So he can now also approve the request of Emily, and they don't have to wait for me as the admin to come back to work for this to be taken care of. Maybe one more thing to note also here is that the substitute approver is still here even after I return back, and while I'm back, he won't get any requests. While I'm away again, he will be receiving those as well. So if I want to remove him, I just click dismiss. Otherwise, I just let him be, and he will be notified only when I'm away. Okay, this brings us to our third feature, which is the new labels on time tracking calculations. Now, if I just take a look at here, the vacation balance, for example, of our Amy, right? Currently, the vacation balance available to her is 20 days. Sorry, updates on leave calculations. Yeah, right. This is the one. Currently, as you can see, even though she has some requests for approval that are already approved, for example, annual leave 20th till 22nd of November, her vacation balance is 20, and this is not taking into consideration the 3 days, so the 20th, the 21st, and the 22nd of November. Now, this might cause some confusion because currently, if I go to add any absences, right, it would maybe for some users be more useful to see here only 17 days available because these 3 have already been confirmed. I can change this as the admin. If I go under settings, sorry, and here under account, I click on advanced. If I click on advanced here, I can open up this vacation. And here, as you can see, we have 2 different options now available. The first one is calculate vacation balance until today. So this means all of the days I have used to this point, right? This does not take into account any requests for approval already approved for the future, right? So as 20 as shown before. And the other option is calculate vacation balance until the end of the period. Now the end of the period is the new year. And this means if I save these settings, right, that now the vacation balance would be updated and will show, it will include also the days that have already been submitted and approved. So if I return back to home, as you can see here, now my vacation balance is only 17 days because it is also taking into account the 20th, the 21st, and the 22nd of November. Okay, so the last thing we were going to take a look at is the timelines view. And here in the timelines view, if I just switch to another day, what has been added, as you can see, are these bullets right here, right? So the white dots, and they are a signal for different clockings, right? And as you can see, if I hover over a certain point, white point bullet, then the clocking that is connected to that graphical representation gets highlighted here, or if I move to those, right, they're highlighted. It, of course, works the other way around. For example, if I hover over a clocking, then the graphical representation of that clocking is darkened. Now, what is this useful for? For example, as here we can see we have 2 different departures. There may have been an error. So it makes it a little bit easier for us as users to differentiate the 2 to know which one to delete. For example, let's say this is the one that happened as a mistake, and we can just delete it. And it just makes it easier for us to know which clocking refers to which type of representation. Another thing that's new on the timelines is if we hover over our graphical lines, right, we can see that this goes toward paid presence. And what is new here is that also now you can see from what time till what time this paid presence is counted towards. As you can see here, from 8 a.m. till 4 p.m. and also the duration is shown, so 8 hours in total. Again, it just makes it a little bit easier to use the system and to know what it is that we are looking at exactly. Okay, good. I believe this is the end of our demonstration of the new features. I hope it was clear and useful, and you now have a better understanding of all the new features we have added. If there are any questions, as I said, I'd like to invite you again to submit them in the text box and we will answer them. With this, we are moving on the third part of our webinar, the Q&A session. Now, let me just take a look at the questions we have received. Okay, so the first question, can users with employee role also be appointed as substitute approvers? Yeah, this is a valid question. As I was showing you before, right, if I go back under the admin and request let me just dismiss him. The only ones that show up here, for example, in our case, are the managers. We don't see other employees. For example, Emily, we were looking at earlier, is not shown here. They can be added, they just need to have the right permissions in the account. So this can be done, but the process is a little bit different. So reach out to our technical support. They will first need to check what is already configured in the system, how the roles are set up, what permissions each role has, and then they can help you set up even employee as a substitute approver. So yes, it can be done. Another question. Our system upgrades free of charge. Yes, the system upgrades are free of charge. They're included in the monthly or annual subscription of all hours. This is in general the case with all of our upgrades and new features most of the time. So there are no additional costs. If you believe any of these features are useful to you, feel free to implement them without worrying about any additional costs. Next question. Okay, so this one is referring to the vacation balance I showed you, right? So these calculations right here. The question goes, does each employee need to make the change of calculating available leave individually, or can an administrator make this change for all employees? So I've showed you how this is done as Amy, the admin, right? And as you can see, this is available in the settings under the advanced. So once I change this as the admin, this is changed for all of the users in my account, right, regardless of their role. So this is not done for each person individually, just for all the users in the account. And once I change this setting, it will be changed for everyone. All of their vacation balances will be recalculated. Okay, for now, I think this is all of the questions that are submitted. If there is anything else, again, feel free to reach out to us. We will be answering any additional questions you may have later on via email. And thank you again for all of your contributions. Now, I kindly ask you to answer the questions that will show up on your screen. We want to know whether you would be interested or if you'd like us to contact you after the webinar to organize a short introduction to all hours. Just click yes or no. And thank you very much for answering. And as I was saying at the beginning, your feedback is very important to us. So please let us know if you find these webinars useful. We welcome both positive feedback as well as suggestions for improvements. Before we finish, I'd like to mention that all of the instructions for the presented new features are already published and available on All Hours Help Center, right? So if we click here under Help, the articles are available here in the Help Center. We will also make sure to include the links to those articles in our follow-up email, as well as the recording, so you have all of the information gathered. So to all attendees who are already All Hours users, we recommend that you try out these new features. If you run into any issues or need any assistance, please feel free to reach out to our support. You can always reach out to them via email at support@allhours.com or strictly from this chat box here. If you click send us a message, you can send a message directly to our support, and they can help you set up anything you might need in the system. To those of you who are not All Hours users yet, I'd like to invite you to open a 14-day free trial if you have not done yet so. And you can always reach out to us to help you get started. We can schedule a short demo online to get you up to speed, to see what your needs are, how All Hours fits those needs, and answer any specific questions for your company. Thank you very much again for joining us, and we look forward to seeing you at future webinars.